Hello, in this video I'm going to be giving you an overview of Breach, what it is, how the game plays, what you can do, customization, all that kind of good stuff. Now, as of the making of this video, I've got a little over 10 hours played in the alpha. So we're going to be looking at the alpha build. Once the, early access release build comes out and, future final builds do come out, I'll, update this if there's any big relevant changes. So this is just to give you an idea of how the game plays and what it's all about, because it's coming out in early access this January. And I wanted to let you guys have some information about it to make the decision about whether or not you'd like to play or get involved with it at all. So, really quickly, the big overview here is Breach is a cooperative action RPG game. You're going to be playing this in third person. As you can see here, this is one of my characters. And your characters have like a basic attack, and then they have 5 other abilities that they're going to be using. So, during the course of a game, you're going to go through different rooms, you're going to have different objectives, and if you complete those objectives, you get bonuses. That's the general vibe of the game. You're going to go through, you're going to hack and slash your way through some different objectives in a series of about 8 rooms or so. At the end of that, that's considered a level complete, and then you win or you lose, and you get rewards based on that. You use those rewards to buy new characters, to customize your characters, buy new things for your characters, buy cosmetics, all that kind of good stuff. The intention is for Breach to be free to play when it comes out. Currently, you can get keys for the alpha when they're up, but there's not a lot of time left between now and when the game is going to go into early access. By my understanding, in order to play the game in early access, you're going to have to purchase one of the little founders packs, which range from $25 for the cheapest one, which is like the starter pack, all the way up to $100, which is like the get everything pack. So let's go through and talk about some of the different aspects of the game. Now, first off, if we check out our play menu here, these are the different modes that are available for you to play the game as. You can play solo, which is just you playing by yourself with absolutely no one else. Now, when you do this, you can queue up as either a hero character, which is what I have equipped here now, or you can queue up as what's known as the Veil Demon. The Veil Demon is a sort of spirit that travels throughout the level alongside the heroes, but as their opponent. It's an enemy creature that doesn't always directly attack the character, but instead uses the monsters that spawn to influence battle, and they can also lay traps and other things like that. So it's kind of an antagonistic role to the group of players that are cooperating together trying to beat the level, but it's not a directly antagonistic role where it's like they spawn in, you spawn in, and you guys just fight it out, and whoever wins wins. It's more like the heroes are going through doing what they would normally do anyway, and the Veil Demon is trying to make their lives more difficult by laying traps, by boosting the power of monsters, by taking over certain monsters, and actually getting to fight with them until they die. So when we're looking at the play modes here, the solo will allow you to queue as the hero or as the Veil Demon. You have co-op, which is where you're just teaming up with a group of other heroes, and you're going to play against a computer-controlled Veil Demon and the level that you would be playing as well. Then you have Versus. This is where a group of 4 hero characters, players, will team up and they will fight against a single Veil Demon player character as well. So this is a 4v1 mode, and it's kind of like a PvPvE mode in a sense. And then you also have custom modes where you can set up various combinations of heroes and Veil Demons. So as of alpha, there's 4 different ways to play. There are currently 4 levels of difficulty. 2 of them are not implemented in the alpha, but we've got a beginner, adept, veteran, and expert. From what I can currently tell, you get more XP on higher levels, but the amount of currency you earn doesn't really change. I'm not 100% sure if the rarity of the items that you get at the end of each mission goes up either. but we'll see more about that in early access. So those are the different modes that you're going to be able to play. Okay, so quick recap: solo, co-op, versus, and custom modes. Now, once you get into these, you've got to play as characters, right? Either a hero character or a Veil Demon. Currently in the game, there are several different characters and several different types of Veil Demons. Each of the hero classes, which we'll talk about first here, has a role associated with it. If we go up here to filter, you can see there are assassins, warriors, supports, and specialists. Assassins are your high damage characters. They can be melee or ranged. Warriors are your tanky, brawler, CC sort of characters. Support characters either do things like heal, buff allies, or protect allies. And specialists usually have some sort of interesting gameplay element that, you know, could allow them to do a mix of the other three roles. Now, along with that, each of the different characters is assigned to a school of magic. And we've got to pop over to the shop here to see how this works. But right now, there are 6 different schools of magic. You have Arcane, Battle, Dark, Hedge, Shadow, and Tech. So within each of these schools of magic, there are 3 classes for a total of 18 classes currently available in the alpha, although one of those classes actually isn't available to play in the game yet. So the School of Magic comes in, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit after we look at the basics of what a character loadout looks like. So for this example, we're going to use the Mana Warrior. It's the first character that I picked when I started playing the alpha. This is a warrior type character, a big, bruisey, CC tank sort of character. Wields a big 2-handed sword. So for each of these characters, you've got different stats that are available. You've got a wardrobe where you can customize your appearance and your outfit. The big full-scale appearance thing isn't in an alpha yet, but I can go into the wardrobe and pick my hero and kind of change my visuals, audio, emotes, all that kind of good stuff. But what's more important here is the way that everything else here works. You have gear, gems, and abilities available for each of your characters. So let's talk about the abilities first. So each character is going to have a main attack, like a basic primary attack. On my Mana Warrior, that is a combo of swings. Now you can either click the mouse for each swing, or you can just hold it down. So you don't have to sit there and click every single time if you don't want to. Now, along with the basic attack, each class has a signature ability, and this is bound to your right click. In the case of the Mana Warrior, I have Mana Strike. This is a sort of AoE ground slam ability that I can do here. Boom, leaps me up into the air, does a lot of damage. It gives me a nice little defensive buff as well. So those 2 abilities are going to be bound to your character no matter what. Along with that, you have slots for 4 other abilities. And each class starts with 4 abilities that are kind of specific to their class. But these can be changed later on, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. Now, with these 4 abilities that you have left, you've got 3 sort of normal abilities, and then you have 1 ultimate ability. Most abilities are cooldown based, so you can use them over and over again. You just have to wait for them to come off cooldown. There's no like resource system like mana or rage or anything like that you have to worry about. So for example, I have cleave. This is going to do just a broad sweep in front of me, and then that goes on cooldown. Once it's off cooldown, I can use it again. My second ability is a charge, and then my third ability is an AoE taunt. And as you can see down here on the bottom, once those things come off cooldown, I can use them again, no problem. Your final ability is your ultimate ability, and this is an ability that you have to build up a charge for over time. If you look at the 4th ability on my bar here, it says 12%. That is my ultimate ability. And in the case of the Mono Warrior, it's called Titan's Fist. It's a big ground slam. It does a bunch of AoE in front of you. If you've played Overwatch or seen Overwatch played, you're going to be familiar with how you need to deal damage or heal or use other abilities to build up this percentage all the way to 100, at which point you'll be able to use your ultimate ability. So that's generally how abilities are going to work. However, there is some customization available here. So what happens is your character is locked in to their primary attack, their basic attack. So you cannot change this basic attack swing that we have on this character here. You also cannot change your signature ability, which is your right click ability. However, all your other abilities can be customized. So I can go into Cleave and I can change this to a different ability. Now these abilities are abilities from the other classes that are in the same school of magic as the Mono Warrior. So if we go in back over to the shop, the Mono Warrior is a battle mage. Okay? So what happens is the Mono Warrior is going to be able to access abilities from the Auros Gladiator and the Vanguard classes. The Auros Gladiator is a melee assassin style class that does a lot of like airborne juggling, and the Vanguard is a support class that does a lot of sort of defensive protective things. So for example, we could take a look here at this ability, Guard. Guards target ally, transferring a portion of their damage taken to you, usable in air. Now this is an ability that I could get over on my Mono Warrior. And in order to do that, what I need to do is I need to unlock the ability to customize this slot, which you do by just leveling up your class. And then I need to unlock the ability to use this by leveling up the associated class with it. So as you level up the different classes that are within the same school of magic, you unlock the abilities and you can start to build a little bit more custom characters than just the default out of the box setup. So it's pretty cool. For each of the different schools, there's only 9 or so abilities right now that you can use to mix and match, but you've got your signature ability as well. And sometimes you're just playing with a class and you're like, man, I like every single ability except for this one, and I really wish I could change it. This gives you the ability to do that. Now, something else to note about the classes is that within each school of magic, each class has the same basic attack combo. So this combo here that I have on my Mono Warrior is going to be the same basic attack combo that I have on the Auros Gladiator and the Vanguard. So your basic attack stays the same per school of magic. Your signature attack is specific to your class, and then your other 4 abilities, you can create your own build with those by leveling up the associated classes to unlock the ability to customize that slot and to use the abilities from a different class. That might sound complicated, but it's not that complicated in practice, and it does give you some freedom to change up what you're doing. If you've ever played a MOBA, imagine it being like you've got 3 MOBA characters, and you can interchange abilities between them to kind of create your custom version of those 3 in a single character. So you can also do a similar thing with the Veil Demon. So the Veil Demon has abilities that they can use as well. They also have roles. So this is an assassin version of the Veil Demon. We have specialist and support versions as well. So this is kind of like the assassin Veil Demon is focused on doing a lot of damage, directly hampering the heroes, whereas the support one may be buffing monsters or making the interactions in the level more difficult for the heroes. And then you have the specialists who might do different things like debuffs or that sort of stuff. So you can customize, you can choose different Veil Demon classes as well. There are currently 6 in the game, and within those you can also unlock the ability to customize your loadout as well. So that's the characters and how they kind of work in the game. As far as the schools of magic go, you've got Arcane, and within Arcane you have the Chronomancer, who does a lot of like haste effects. You've got the Elementalist, who is a mix of support and damage. You've got the Arcane Mender, which is a straight up healer. And the Battle Mages, we talked about those already. On the Dark School of Magic, you have the Reaper, who is kind of like a lifesteal tank. You've got the Lich, who gets to do some interesting things. They have a phylactery they can put down that makes them invincible until it's destroyed. You've got the Necromancer, who uses pets and summons, skeletons to do their bidding. Within the Hedge School, you've got the Exorcist, which is the one that's not playable yet. The Demon Hunter, who uses bombs and grenades and traps. You've got the Occultist, who's able to, pump out some pretty good status effects and also heal the party. In Shadow, you've got Shadowblade, which is kind of like your standard rogue assassin. Bloodstalker is a lifesteal tank that does a high damage output. Nighthawk is a rogue that can do air juggles, kind of like the Aros Gladiator does for the Battle Mages. And then within tech, you've got the Gunslinger, which is your straight up dual pistols and shots. Sniper, which does high single target damage. And Engineer, which is able to put down turrets and use area of effect abilities. So there's a pretty good variety of classes and styles that you can play. If there is, a traditional RPG role or MMO role that you like to play, you could probably find a way to fill that here within the game. Now, once we get into the shop here, this is, alpha, like I said. Who knows how things are going to change. There are two currencies available. You have gold, which you earn in-game by completing matches, win or lose. You can also do daily quests. They also give you certain amounts of gold at different points throughout your leveling process as well. And then there is another currency. I don't actually know what the name of it is here, but this little purple lightning bolt, that's presumably the cash currency. They do give you some of that when you start in the alpha, so I was able to purchase some extra classes that way. But it looks like, as far as the economy goes, you're going to be able to buy classes with gold or with the cash currency. And there are currently three tiers of classes. So you have the starter classes, which cost 2,000 gold or 300 purples. I'm just going to say purples. You've got a mid-tier of class, which costs 5,500 gold and then 500 purples. And then you have the higher tier class, the Chronomancer here, which costs 15,000 gold and costs 750 purples. And these seem to be tiered based on the complexity of the class. So the easier complexity classes are cheaper, and then you've got the mid tier and then the high tier. Now, I was able to, with the gold that they've given me, and they started me out with, I think, 750 of the purple currency. So far, I've been able to unlock 7 classes, I believe. Seven different classes. The Mono Warrior I got for starting the game. The Chaos Weaver Veil Demon I got by default as well. So I've been able to purchase 6 classes within about 10 hours of gameplay using the little bit of in-game cash currency they gave me and just by accruing gold. So I don't know if that's necessarily as fast as I would like it to be, but it's a fairly decent pace, considering how much I've played and how much fun I've been having. It seems like right about the time when, I kind of want to buy something new, I've got enough currency to, purchase a new class. Now, outside of classes, you have the Bestiary here, which I believe, I don't know because I haven't purchased these with gold, but I think this gives you more options for the elites you can summon in as the Veil Demon. That's a special thing Veil Demons can do. The ultimate for most Veil Demons is summoning in an elite monster to harass the players. You also have equipment that you can purchase, and equipment is purchased with gold. You cannot purchase equipment with the cash currency, equipment, and gems do modify gameplay. So as you can see here, there's no setup for like a pay to win, being able to buy, you know, this stuff with a cash currency. And then cosmetics seem to be only available via the cash currency. So it looks like they got a pretty standard free-to-play setup. So now that we looked at that, let's take a look at equipment and gems. And this is kind of the final piece of the puzzle for Breach, and this is where you get the additional customization. So when you're playing a game of Breach, as you go through these different rooms, either the heroes win the objective, they complete it, and they win, or they fail to complete it and the Veil Demon wins. There's a timer for most of these objectives, so if the heroes don't complete the objective in time, they fail. And what happens is that gives essentially a talent point to the Veil Demon. If they win, then the heroes get a talent point. And as you do this, your team levels up. And so within each room, there's a battle to see who's going to win, but that victory with or defeat in that room doesn't determine the outcome of the entire game. So as you're going, it just allows you to kind of become more and more powerful. So your team, as they level up, you get options for these talent points, and these are affected by your gear. So gear affects the talent choices that are available to you. When you first start the game, you're going to get one of 3 options for a talent point. And that's going to be based on the first piece of gear you have equipped. So here for my Mana Warrior, there is this chain here, this focus. So what's going to happen is the one that I have equipped here says Martial Focus. Mana Strike has increased radius and damage, but no damage shield. So this modifies one of my abilities to play entirely differently, right? It's not just saying Mana Strike has plus 200 damage. This is the kind of stuff that I like in games. I like when you're able to modify an ability to play in a completely different way than what it normally does. But at the start, I can choose that, or I can choose dodge applies root to nearby enemies, or I can choose after not being hit by for a period of time, gain a damage shield. So if I like those, if I say, you know what, those are the options that I like, sometimes I want the root, sometimes I want the damage shield, sometimes I want the Mana Strike, you know, damage bonus, then I equip this piece of gear, and that's going to be, I'm going to have a choice of one of those 3 when I first start the game. When we level up, then it goes on to this anvil. And this is the same thing. This is going to give me a choice. I get to choose one of these 3 options. So equipping your gear changes the options available to you. For example, we've seen this one here. If I click on this one, these would be the 3 options available to me if I were to equip this focus instead of the one that I currently have. Dodge applies root to enemies, and you can see that's shared here. Gain a damage shield after being knocked, pinned, or stunned. Health potion now also cleanses. So maybe I prefer those options, and I can slot that in there. And this continues on for all 4 pieces of gear. So this allows you to customize what your character is able to evolve into over the course of each match, because these talents don't apply at the very, very start of the game. You get to pick one at the start of the game, but then you are earning them as you successfully complete objectives throughout the match in each room. So that's what gear does. And I actually have it on my Mana Warrior here, where there's a lot of customization going on with my skills and abilities. For example, my Mana Strike, which I showed you before, generally gives you a damage shield once you use it, but I have this set up so I can choose a talent to get rid of that shield but give it more damage and a bigger impact radius. On my next one, I have a talent I can choose that will augment my charge, which makes it deal an explosion when I reach my target. So there's some pretty cool stuff that you can do in here to actually modify your abilities and change the way that your character plays. So you have this whole system of, pick a school of magic that determines your basic attack. Pick a class that determines your signature ability. Level up those classes and you can customize your other 4 abilities, including your ultimate. Choose specific pieces of gear that have the talents on them that you want that may modify your abilities, or they may just give you a passive, benefit like an extra potion or a free res when you die one time, something like that. And then finally, you have gems. And for gems, these are, you can have the same gem equipped on multiple characters, and these give you passive benefits. So this gives me some damage resistance per team level. This gives me movement speed. I've got some additional health with this one here, and this one gives me bonus melee damage per team level as well. Every time you succeed in a room, your team level goes up, and so if my team were level 5, then I'd have a 10% bonus melee damage to my character because of this gem. So the way the game works in general is you're going to level up classes individually. That does contribute to an overall account level. So you can see up here in the top left corner, I'm level 30. That means I have accrued 30 levels across all the classes that I have, including the Veil Demon. And that will just continue to go up as I level more and more characters. So that's a general overview of Breach and how the game plays. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Like I said, I've played over 10 hours of the alpha now, and it's a limited amount of content, so I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on everything there is to know about the current state of the game. I'm going to play some more after I'm done making videos as well. Let me know if you're interested in the game. I definitely am. I'm still trying to decide whether or not I want to bite the bullet and get really heavily invested in the game, but I think I'm, like 80% yes, 20% no. I've got to see a little bit more, maybe what happens once they actually push the game out into early access. That said, the gameplay, the core stuff itself is a heck of a lot of fun, and I think that with higher difficulty levels, you're going to require, much greater teamwork in order to successfully complete objectives, and I think that's good. It does seem like you need a good, well-rounded party that has a healer and a tank, or at least one of those, plus maybe a specialist and a couple of assassins. So it looks like team composition matters, looks like strategy matters, teamwork matters. That's all really good stuff in my book. I do think we need more levels and, some other stuff like that. But it's alpha right now, and that's fine. So I would say that I am, positively optimistic about the game overall. And I'm pretty excited about. So it's going to be something fun to play, I think. So let me know what you think of the game. I appreciate you checking it out and giving it a chance, checking out the video here on the channel. If you like the video, please subscribe or just hit the thumbs up button and encourage me to keep making more content like this. And I hope you're having fun, whatever game you're playing, Breach or not. And as always, I'll see you on the next video.